Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode.
In the night, I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road, he lost his soul to a chicken wing boneless. How could you be so boneless? Lemon, pepper, and boneless.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Bars.
Boneless.
Bars, ladies and gentlemen. All right? Coming at you hot on a
Monday.
We're not going to do that the whole episode. Listen, happy Memorial Day, everybody. Happy Memorial Day weekend, Monday, the actual Memorial Day. We thought about taking it off to acknowledge Memorial Day, but I thought it would also be a good idea to acknowledge Memorial Day through a podcast.
Through a podcast?
Okay, listen. Memorial Day weekend, an important weekend. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you guys, all right, about the importance. But the reason we barbecue, the reason we get after it on Memorial Day weekend, we barbecue, we enjoy, we do what we love. It's a happy day. And it's the day that you have memory of those who fell in battle, in war, to give us that liberty to be American, to enjoy the freedoms for those that sacrifice. And the greatest thing that I saw of a veteran posting about Memorial Day was the fact that the way you live your life on Memorial Day, and just living your life in general, live your life with the freedom and liberty that makes it, that sacrifice that those made in battle, worth it, you know? It's a beautiful thing. So it's not Veterans Day, but to all those who fell in service and in war, thank you. Thank you for giving us the liberty and the freedom that we enjoy as Americans. And it's something that I think we all have to do our part in protecting, okay? You know, we start talking about the Constitution and what it stands for, First Amendment, the Second Amendment, all the amendments at the end of the day. Okay, some of them get a little wordy, but they're important, you know. And just shout out, enjoy yourself, enjoy the freedom on this day, and more importantly, enjoy the freedom every day. Okay, there's a lot of memes going around about a guy with an American flag mullet, beautiful. Looks like, you know, the most majestic bald eagle would come and make a nest in that thing. And then that bald eagle born from that bald eagle is not going to be bald anymore because it's going to have a beautiful mullet. All right. And that's the most patriotic thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm here for it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Welcome to the Monday. How could you be so Monday?
Listen, I'm not saying I'm a songbird of the generation, but I'm the songbird of a generation.
Motherfucking songbird.
Listen, I'm gonna pack a goddamn concert hall, all right? And I'm just gonna get up there and only talk about boneless wings. People think it's a joke, but I hate them. I despise boneless wings. They're chicken nuggets. Don't come over here appropriating my culture. You can't just not be a chicken wing and decide you're a chicken wing.
Ooh, not a chicken wing. It's just un-American.
At the end of the day, did we just slip up with the sample? Yeah, we did. But it happens. I myself can have some hot links later. Because listen, I like making decisions that my stomach is going to pay for later. All right? Listen, I'm all about on Memorial Day weekend making some bad dietary mistakes. making some decisions that in 24 hours you are going to pay the consequences for.
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
Okay? Listen. I'll take down maybe 3 or 4 hot links on a barbecue day, all right? And at the time, loving it. Get the grilled red onions, all right? I make them hot, New York style red onions. Listen, my pops is from Brooklyn, okay? He's from the East Coast. The man knows something about New York style dogs. Okay, you go to my pops' house, you're gonna have some New York style dogs. He's gonna get the red onions on there. He's gonna get some all beef Franks. We're talking all beef. None of that filler shit. All beef. We don't play with that filler shit. Make some nice red onions. We're gonna toast the buns. Maybe a little bit of mustard, a little bit of sauerkraut. You gotta get some kraut on your dogs at the end of the day. Okay?
Get that crowd on the dogs.
Bars, ladies and gentlemen. And it's just gonna be a good time. All right? It's gonna be a good time for maybe 4 hours. After 4 hours, that's when your stomach starts turning on you. And then you hit that bathroom the next morning. It's gonna be a bad time from then on out until you gotta go through the cycle. I imagine it's something like giving birth. Okay, but instead of giving birth to a little baby that you're happy to see once it's out, you're giving birth to the Antichrist, to your backside. All right, it's gonna be a lot of fire, a lot of pain, a lot of regret, a lot of sorrow, but that's life at the end of the day. Okay, if you didn't go through this motherfucker without a little bit of regret, some choices that you wish you would have, got the old pencil eraser on them and wrote in a different answer, did you even live? All right, because I'm about living. A lot of people start dying before they ever start living. Know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing about just saying random quotes and things that are the opposite. If you just say it with enough confidence, it'll come off as a real statement. When you start saying, yeah, a lot of people start dying before they ever even start living. That's so bland that you can find wisdom in it. Okay? Just that could be a quote, and probably is. Honestly, it's so simple that it's got to be a quote already coined. But you can just say anything. Well, you get in the water, you're going to start drowning, you're going to start swimming. You jump in that water, and you're going to find out that water's pretty wet. That's what people say. Hey, you're never going to find out the water's wet. Let's jump in. What? But people will look at that and be like, wow. Like if Kevin Hart said that, people will be like, fuck, I got to build a pool. It just matters who said it and how they said it. Got to put your hand in the fire if you want to know if them flames are going to start licking. Huh? Sounds kind of sexual at the end of the day. Okay? But that's what we're here for. We're here for the sexual shit at the end of the day.
Always here for the sexual flavor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the amount of times that I use these sound effects. But it's Memorial Day, and we're just here to have a good time today. All right? We're not going to get too serious. Watch this take a complete turn, and we're going to get serious. Way too serious. I did have a couple current events that I wanted to talk about. Here's something. This is something I'm blessed with. This is something that I always find so weird. Something I'm blessed with. Listen. Significant others' parents, when they get real weird. I couldn't imagine being a girl having to date a guy who was a complete mama's boy and the mom was overbearing. Okay, here's something I never respected growing up. Listen, you want me to be a complete asshole as a young Evan. I'm gonna shed some light on young Evan, as I call him. One word, young Evan. Young Evan. Listen, can't leave those effects on. I would, at the ripe young age of 15, 16. Your boy was already starting to get into boxing. And what boxing does to a young man at that kind of age, it gives you a sense of confidence. Because once you get into a ring with a grown man and you're like, oh, I didn't just completely die. Because sometimes that's what you think is going to happen. If you just get in there and you've never been punched, you at least have some self-confidence. And why I think boxing and jiu-jitsu is great for life, because that confidence transfers over to all your aspects of life. Now, the point I'm making is when it comes to dating, when I would go to meet, fathers, if I was going to date a girl or something, we're going to hang out, I always have respect. Always respect. That's something you gotta just have that with everybody you meet. You never go into a situation looking to not respect someone. You get my respect until you do something to take it away. And usually I'm not one of these people who's gonna like make it a point that I don't respect you anymore. I don't need to get even with you. I just gotta move on, pimping. Okay, I keep it moving at the end of the day, and I go into situations always just respectful. Respectful as fuck. Listen, on a couple occasions, it usually is fine. You meet a dad, you meet a mom, you're always respectful. That's all you can do. Listen, as a man in the ripe old age of 33 now, I think I'm 33. I really don't remember now. That's how you know as you're starting to add numbers. It's either 32 or 33 at this point, okay? Listen, I know when I hit 45, 50, and some guy is coming to date my 16, 17-year-old daughter, I know the fucking brain, bro. I know where you're at. So don't play the game. Just be respectful. Don't try to, I know why you're there. Okay, just don't try to piss on my head and tell me it's raining. All right? I know game recognized game at the end of the day. All right? I know what you're there to do. I'm not okay with it. But that's life, okay? And you can't try to control life. You just got to live life. And you got to just try to stack the odds in your favor and just keep it moving, pimping, okay? Never going to know if that water's wet unless you jump in. Listen. I would meet some of these dads. It would go great. How you doing, sir? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'll take care of her. I promise. Blah, 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 blah. All that shit. The second a father would try to intimidate me, it's going to be a bad time for your daughter. Now, I don't mean that in a weird way, all right? No Me Too stuff, nothing like that. What I mean is, once you tell me, you threaten me, anything like that, I'm just there to, listen, I ain't having it, okay? And I ain't playing those games. And it usually, here's the messed up part, but when you try to be disrespectful and then you see that it's not working, it makes your daughter want to hang out with me more, all right? And it feels weird talking about my life at 16, 17 years old, now that I'm a ripe old man at 33, all right? But it was just always weird, and I'm like, dude, this is not the way to get someone to treat your daughter nice. And now I never would ever take it out on the daughter. I'm not going to intentionally be like, oh, I'm going to cheat on her to teach her paw a lesson. No, nothing like that. It's just, I'm not going to play that. If you want to do that, if you're like, oh, you guys better hang out here and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm for sure sneaking your daughter out, and I'm going to teach you a lesson you never forget. And I got so many of those young girls pregnant. And do I have kids who are like 6 or 7 years old? Yeah, probably 6 or 7. Listen, the timelines aren't adding up.
Oh, we should move on to the next bit.
Listen, 6 or 7 years old, the timeline's not adding up. Listen, this isn't a goddamn Marvel movie. I'm thinking on my feet, all right? Where do we even go from here? Okay, the podcast is falling apart. 7 minutes in Evan, it's just not working out. We're just going to move on. Listen, the point I'm making, having to deal with another significant other's parents when they don't treat you good and they're controlling or weird like that, I feel like it has the opposite thing of what you're trying to do. Because Because I'll be honest with you, growing up, the girls whose dad was completely controlling, those were the girls wanting to dye their hair blue and sneak out in the middle of the night and howl at the moon, if you know what I'm saying. All right? Listen, it always backfires. It always does. And that's the weird thing about navigating raising kids, I can imagine, is like, how do you try to guide them this way without guiding them too much the other way? You know, those are one of those things that you're going to have to figure out. But that control shit, it doesn't work. And the whole reason I brought this up is because this girl posted the rules, like what the mom of the guy she was dating, the rules for dating my son. And this is what the mom wrote. I don't even know where this comes from. Rule number 1, he is not your ATM. First off, rude. 2, if you show up to my house looking like a stripper, I will make you go away. Bands make her dance at the end of the day, okay? If I see any sex on his phone, I will make you go away. Listen, teenagers are going to do what they do, all right? Don't look at your son's phone. That's weird. Understand that I can make you go away. That's rule number 5. 6, he's a mama's boy unless you have a ring on your finger. Your opinion does not matter. Ugh. You are not in charge of him. It is not up to you to change him. Take him for who he is, or see rule number 5. That was, understand that I can make you go away. He's a gentleman. I taught him that. You better act like a lady and deserve that. Ugh. Number 9, I know how to avoid jail. Ugh. 10, if you're a weasel your way past all these rules and fake your way to a ring on your finger, I'll be something much worse than your boyfriend's mom. I'll be your mother-in-law. Ugh. This is the most toxic, gross thing I've ever seen. It's not really.
Not even close.
I feel like if you put these, like, obviously, this is a mental health issue, right? A mom that's this overbearing on her son. You obviously haven't prepared your son for the world to be able to look out for this stuff on his own. And you don't trust his judgment. So you're going to turn him to like an anxiety-ridden little nervous wreck who's always going to have weird emotional issues because the stuff you put on him. It's really weird. I got very lucky with that. I'll be honest. My fiance's mom, very overbearing, very sweet, supportive. I just lucked the fuck out, you know? It's terrible when I hear people tell me stories about their mother-in-law or just their boyfriend's mom or dad and the stuff they try to do. Oh, man. That's one thing I'm not necessarily looking forward to about being a parent is when your daughter brings home a guy. That's like the thing is everybody wants sons. You know, like that's the whole thing when it comes to dating is you want sons. You don't want some dude having sex with your daughter. It's just a weird thing. But like, there's also something about your son who gets completely manipulated by a girl. And like how crazy if like he gets her pregnant and they're like 17, you're like, my son fucked up. Like it can be bad all over, you know? Man, I'm just going to be nice. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give them respect. Same thing with the girls that, you know, that if my son dates girls or if he dates guys, whatever, you know, I don't give a shit. I'm here to have a good time. All I know, if my son is gay, he better be a dancer. All right. I want him to be athletic and be really flexible. Okay. I need him to be witty. That's what I want in my gay son. All right. And if he's not, this motherfucker better read books. All right. Or play video games and be really good at that. I just want him to be good at something. You know, I want him to be happy and good at something. That's like the other weird thing about having kids is it's like, do you want them to be very successful? Do you want them to be good at creative stuff? Well, then you got to fuck up their life a bit, you know? If I want them to be very good at sports, I'm going to have to disappear for a while, put a chip on his shoulder, you know? Because it's like very well, kids with good childhoods just grow up to be, you know, insane at, they don't have the same kind of drive. So you kind of got to mess them up just a little bit. So it's going to be finding that little balance somewhere in there. You don't want to do it too much to where they need therapy, but just enough where like sports or creative outlets are therapy enough. Unless you go full overboard and you get yourself an Eminem. But then half of the music he's going to make is going to be about you. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Fucking up our kids.
Listen, I got another current event for you. We're just dropping current events today, all right? Because this goes hand in hand. We got a theme going today.
Fucking up your kids.
Article title: Woman discovers online date is in prison, so joins school trip to visit him. The woman was getting on with the man really well and was gutted when he stopped replying, so she took matters into her own hands. She was ghosted by an online date, later discovered he had been sent to prison, so she joined a school trip to the institution so she could visit him. This woman couldn't handle being rejected, that she said, I'm going to go meet him in prison. Nah. She said they had been getting on well before all communication stopped, and she refused to let it go, so she messaged all his friends. And when she was shocked when they hadn't heard from him either. After some super sleuthing, I don't know what sleuthing is. Let's Google that. I think that's like, is that stalking? Is sleuthing stalking? Why won't it let me look it up? Look up sleuthing. Yeah, bitch, look it up. Search with Google. Careful investigation into a crime or mystery. Why not just say investigation?
Stop making up new words.
Real quick. Why are, and this isn't a Gen, what is it, Gen Z? Is that the latest? They're not even making up new slang. They're just cutting words in half. They're getting very into one syllable phrases. Yo, that shit's sus. Bruh. Cringe. Like, it's just so weird. Anyway.
Not part of the bit.
She discovered the man was in prison. He was imprisoned. So she hatched a plan to go see him. She joined her school's law society to go on a trip to the institution, the hope that she'd find him. That's a lot of work just to go find a dude who you met online. So she was like, oh no, baby, this isn't about to happen. Found out he was in jail. Turns out he was, and I was in high school during the time. And like, I know I'm stupid, but I heard the law club was going to take a field trip to the local county jail. She joined the law club, went to every single meeting, participated in every single event. Just at the end of the semester, she'd go to local jail on a field trip. We got inside and they're like, all right, we're going to separate you. One group is going to the women's side and the other to the man's side. And she's like, no, they put me on the women's side. And I'm like, no, teacher, listen to me. I need to go to the man's side. Please don't do this to me. And she's like, why, Julia? Why do you need to go to the man's side? And I'm like, because I just do. Listen. Okay, so they didn't have... She's like, first of all, love, we're having all the girls go to the women's because we don't want overage men seeing young girls.
Gonna be a problem.
Everybody knows why. So she didn't get to see the guy. Listen. Why? Why go through all this trouble to see someone that you met on a date? Honestly, after hearing the full story, I don't necessarily believe it. Okay? Because it sounds like a goddamn Scooby-Doo episode. And what did you think was going to happen? Like you were going to get in there and break him out? Did you bring him a little shank? It's just odd, you know? It's just odd. Dude, what's crazy? An experience I had over the weekend, Friday to be exact. I went to my first movie theater after a year of not being, being able to see a movie. Well over a year, I think. It felt so odd and so out of place, but so refreshing in a weird way to be back into a movie theater. I went and saw A Quiet Place too. Phenomenal. Loved it. Great film. Great metaphor stuff going back and forth. A lot of things going on at the same time that were like parallel ideas. Great visions or visuals. What's also fucked up, John Krasinski, he came on the screen in the beginning of the movie to thank everybody for coming to see a movie. Thank you for coming back out to the theater, blah, 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 and supporting the movie. On the same night that we were watching it, he was surprising another theater in Austin. I was like, God damn it, John. You couldn't have popped in, said hi to me? Okay, guess we're not important. But it was a great experience going back to a movie theater. It's weird because it's like there's so much stuff during the pandemic that you didn't realize that was the last time you were going to do it for an entire year. Okay? Like there was a time where it was the last time, I can't even think of the set. It was my last night of doing stand-up for almost, I don't know how long. I didn't go necessarily a full year, but it was a solid 6 to 9 months where it was like I didn't even do one set. And it was just so weird. There was the last movie I saw, I don't even know, but there was so much stuff that happened where it was like, this is the last time I did it, and I never even realized it. And that was weird. There's things that are like normalcy that I think people need. I've been going back to the gym. I couldn't catch COVID if I tried. All right. Knock on wood, watch next episode and be like, the COVID Chronicles are back on. But I've been going to the gym, no mask, nothing. Everything's open indoors. Movie theater was open indoors. There's so much stuff. And it's like the pandemic makes you feel like COVID is everywhere, every single place that you're going to be. And it hasn't been like that. But it was cool to start experiencing these. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that. But it makes me realize how much like important stuff is just doing something like go to the movie theater for people's mental health. I swear that the term mental health has been so overused this past year. Everybody, it's such a hot word right now, mental health. But it's been a huge part of everything is looking at the way everything shut down during the pandemic and the things that we completely overlooked during the pandemic. Some things like that, like we didn't really look at, like it became such a divisive year, and
I know I wasn't gonna get serious.
but fuck it, listen. It became such like a dividing year for everyone. Republicans, Democrats, everybody else in the middle, which I think is like 80%. That's the whole thing about the internet, is it makes you feel, especially when everybody's away from each other and you're like alienated, it makes you feel like everything you're seeing on the phone, on Twitter, on YouTube, the news, that's what the 95% of life is. When in reality, that's like less than 2%. Those are just the people who are out here making all the noise. There's that quote about Twitter where it's like 90-something% of people on Twitter don't even tweet. And it's like 3% making 80-something% of the content. It's like some astonishing number. So it's like you think it's everybody saying all this stuff, but it's just these same fucking parasites repeating and canceling and being so offended by everything. That's like if you ever go look at somebody who writes bad tweets and you go look at their profile, they have a slew of bad tweets of just disgusting, parasitical bullshit. But I feel like everything was heightened during the pandemic, the original point I was making, of how we overlooked completely the importance of people's mental health and the things that make you optimistic, the things that make you happy. We kind of, instead of being like, okay, we need to find a balance where people can work out, people can enjoy social interactions. Instead of looking at that completely, we were like, shut it all down as if everybody are robots. Like we're not these fucking empathic creatures that need social interactions. We need to eat healthy. We need exercise. We need all this stuff to do. We just told everybody to shut it down and stay inside, close the goddamn curtains, and just rot away for 6 to 9 months, or you're going to kill grandma. I swear that was the slogan of the CDC, other than wear a mask, don't wear a mask, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. And by even me mentioning the CDC, I'm probably going to get this episode flagged. But I feel like that's been a huge thing that we didn't really even look at, was quality of life during the pandemic. And I think when people get into that zone, dude, I've had a few days, even after I moved here, like being honest with you, where when you kind of don't have your schedule back and you don't have anything going on, you haven't figured out, you haven't got out of your comfort zone to start establishing new things. When you get into a state of not feeling fulfilled and not feeling good and not knowing what to do with your time or energy, it starts eating away at you, and you start getting more hostile. You start getting more frustrated, more intense. And I mean, that would happen to me, and I would just be like, why the fuck am I acting like this? Why am I getting so flustered? And it would be, oh, I'm not doing all the stuff I should be doing. So it would put me into a heightened state. And if I happen to run into someone or something happened, though you'd have seen me at my worst, and I could have reacted in a bad way. But we didn't, at least, I think a lot of people were like that over the pandemic for an extended period of time. So you got all this division. People weren't their best versions of themselves. And I think that's something that happens, is some of the circumstances that you interact with people are on their worst day, because they couldn't do all the things that make them their best, And it's interesting because I feel like with everything that's happened, even with the whole vaccine stuff, like it's still so divided now over vaccinated versus unvaccinated, which is such a weird thing. Because it went from being like the people who are at risk getting vaccinated. Isn't that the whole thing? Like, not everybody is at risk. And that was the whole idea for the past year was, I'm quarantining and doing my part to, God, I feel like such a douchebag that I just legit said, I'm doing my part. Douchebag! And was just for people who were vulnerable at risk. We didn't have a vaccine. We didn't have steps that people could take. But also there's a certain point of it's like self-accountability of like, dude, if I see, what was it that it was a huge number of the people that were obese that with COVID. Obesitas. COVID. Obesity is the key driver with COVID. And sorry, ladies and gentlemen. What if I just did the podcast like this? All right. Anyway, I can't find the statistic, but it was very high. We're talking like 70 to 80%. Here it is. 78% of COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the U.S. are overweight and obese. 78% of COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the U.S. are overweight or obese. The CDC finds that's an alarming number. 78%. 27% were overweight and 50% were obese. That is a huge number. A huge number. And say what you want to say about obesity, but a big part of it is avoidable. Okay, healthy eating, and it comes down to like self accountability and doing what you need to do. I was talking to a buddy, and even we were talking about like being athletes and being in shape, and how like it's not necessarily fun to go to the gym. Like I'm always tired, okay, because I'll go to the gym, I'll do what I have to do to stay in shape, and then I'll even rest when I need to, just to try to be healthy. Like I'm constantly, every day, my immune system is in my mind, where I'm thinking, okay, I got to be healthy, I got to do this. And it's kind of to the point where it's like over, like it's on autopilot of like, I know I take my vitamins at this time. I know I drink water when I wake up. Every morning when I wake up, I have a scoop of glutamine in a full cup of water. Like I think it's like 3 cups of water. It's a full mason jar. I drink that the first thing when I wake up, and it's to help my stomach and just to really rehydrate. And while this isn't meant to be, fat shaming, I don't believe in that at all. I'm a very supportive person when I see anybody overweight at the gym, and I'm proud of them. It's inspirational because I'm just like, dude, you're doing something that's uncomfortable. It's clear that you're in an uncomfortable place right now, but it's fucking beautiful to see because it takes courage. It really does. It's not easy. I've seen, like I'll be observant at the gym, and I'll watch someone who I can tell they're struggling with the idea of taking their sweatshirt off because they know that they're overweight. I've seen it. And seeing that alone, that's stuff that you don't pick up on all the time. But then they go and do it, and then you watch them work out and everything, and I'll just bump knuckles. I'll do something, just to acknowledge like, hey, keep getting after it, something, without being like, wow, it's so courageous that you're here right now. Because it really is inspirational. And it's like, that's what I love to see is people getting out of their comfort zone, taking responsibility and being like, hey, I got a long road, but I'm doing what I need to do. And I think about this stuff because so much of everything during this pandemic has always been about a vaccine and about avoiding COVID, when really our immune systems are built to be able to handle it. There was another statistic. It was like, I forgot, it was in the 80 percentile of people were vitamin D deficient that were hospitalized for COVID. So it's like these two factors, supplementation, getting enough sunlight, and exercise and healthy eating, could have probably decreased the pandemic based on the statistics of the amount of people that were in the ER for it by at least 50 to 60%. Could you imagine that? That it was 50 to 60% less effective than it was? And, and people look at the other pre-existing conditions that aren't necessarily a person's fault. Well, we deal with that. We figure out a way to take care of those people. But a lot of the focus and attention went to obviously the conglomerate, and we didn't really separate who had COVID for this reason. And the healthcare system was completely overran by situations that could have been avoided. And it's easier said than done now. But it's like, I don't think all this stuff is necessarily going to go away. I don't necessarily think that if it's not COVID, it's going to be another thing. And I think we got very, very lucky in the sense of how effective COVID was at attacking people's immune systems. If you think about like the Spanish flu and other situations, like it could have been much worse. And that's what I mean is like kids weren't attacked. It wasn't fucking polio. It could be much worse. So it's like, I think that's one thing that we need to like push for society is healthy eating and nutrition. Kind of similar to healthy eating. I even thought about that. Like we need to, like a huge thing is processed foods. I think our healthcare system, we should tax people who like these things. Like it's so backwards that you could go to get a 99-cent burger from a fast food place or all these processed bars and everything like that. It's all, and I don't mean the good kind of bars. Anyway, stupid. Untaxing healthy foods, like people's healthcare and everything. Like I feel like gym memberships should be a tax write-off. I feel like nutrition should somehow be a tax write-off. Even with your healthcare and everything, and it's like based on processed foods and all of that. You can't really track what people are actually doing. So you just have to tax it at the processed foods. These companies that are making processed foods and making them last longer and be more detrimental, they should be taxed and actually be taxed more on the other side of the people buying the processed food. Just like, I think Canada does tobacco and alcohol tax to help pay for healthcare. We should have it in the States of that, but also like processed foods that are contributing to diabetes and obesity, the fast food tax, bars. All right. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the wheels came off this episode for a little bit. And that's okay. All right. That's okay. It's Monday. It's Memorial Day. It's a silly goose time today. All right. It's a holiday at the end of the day. Bars. So I hope that you guys are enjoying your freedom here in America. And listen, I know I have listeners in other countries. I know Pakistan. What up? I know Russia. What up? I can't think of other places that I have significant listeners. But listen, all across the world, what up? Everybody enjoy your Memorial Day. I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to be in the greatest country on this planet. Shout out to the other countries, though, all right? We're a one species world at the end of the day, all right? Because when Elon Musk goes to Mars and they detach from us, it's going to be Earth versus the Martians. Okay, so once Elon leaves, no more Tesla here, all right? The man has been detrimental in destroying Bitcoin, all right? I'm never going to be able to buy more land if you keep dropping the price of Bitcoin, Elon. Oh, fuck nugget. Everybody thinks Elon Musk is like fucking Iron Man. He's so cool. He's wearing suits and shit and has hair transplants. Go Google Elon Musk when he was working for PayPal. That fucking dork. He looks like he ate his own boogers and would stick them on the window just to save them for later. Elon Musk just looks like he would play Dungeons and Dragons and just drinks Kool-Aid. He looks like he's the kind of kid that like freezes a Squeeze-It and then eats it like a popsicle and then has Otter Pops and drinks them like juice. I don't know. Listen, I didn't come on this podcast to attack Elon Musk. I actually think he's a robot. Okay, so he doesn't have the feelings to feel bad about this. But ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Memorial Day. Get some goddamn sun, some vitamin D. Go for a walk. All right, stare at some birds. You know your boy loves to stare at birds. All right, it's good for my mental health. Just found out Texas has fireflies. Saw them the other night. I've been staring at them every night. I fucking love it. All right, your boy's a simple man at the end of the day.
So simple.
Like the podcast. I almost said like the comment, podcast, subscribe at the same exact time. Like the video. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Tell a friend about the podcast. And remember, no matter what,